Florida is known for its blazing sun, balmy beaches, and electric culture, but beneath its glittering surface lies something much darker. Something that writhes in the heat. Florida, famous for its beaches, theme parks, and vibrant culture, is also home to some of the most unsettling, bizarre, and sinister tales in American lore. Here, in the land of endless summer, a sinister history festers in the swamps, lingers on lonely highways, and creeps behind the veil of everyday life. Florida isn't just weird, it's haunted. Landscapes steeped in tragedy, twisted belief systems, spectral sightings, and cryptids that stalk the swamps. This is not the Florida found in postcards. This is a land where the past never rests, and where the veil between worlds is disturbingly thin. Interstate 4. The dead zone stretching between Tampa and Daytona Beach is a stretch of asphalt with a cursed reputation. Interstate 4. The section near Sanford, ominously nicknamed the Dead Zone, has reportedly seen over 1,500 traffic accidents, many of them fatal. Cars veer off for no reason. Radios screech with voices from nowhere, and sudden fog envelops vehicles like a shroud. But the horror here didn't start with cars. In the late 1800s, 4 members of a German immigrant family stricken with yellow fever were hastily buried in unmarked graves on what would later become the highway's path. Despite warnings from locals and paranormal experts, construction barreled ahead in the 1960s, disturbing those forgotten graves. Almost immediately, bizarre accidents began piling up. Motorists report seeing ghostly children on the roadside, sometimes running into traffic and vanishing on impact. Cell phones go dead, GPS systems reroute into dead ends, and travelers often feel the unmistakable sensation of being watched. Ghost hunters believe the land itself is cursed, echoing centuries of trauma, including the displacement and devastation of the indigenous Mayaca tribe during the Spanish conquest. To this day, some believe the dead zone is a thin place where the boundary between the living and the dead all but disappears. The Corsican Unity, Florida's hollow earth Calthedon beneath the Spanish moss and towering palms of Estero, lies the Corsican State Historic Site, a tranquil park that masks an eerie history. In the late 1800s, Dr. Cyrus Teed claimed he had received a divine vision that revealed the earth was not a sphere, but hollow, and that we lived inside it, under a miniature universe. He renamed himself Kreep-ish and formed a utopian cult with apocalyptic undertones. Teed and his followers practiced bizarre rituals, celibacy, communal living, and metaphysical experiments, believing they would usher in a new age of spiritual awakening. The Corsican Unity drew hundreds, eventually constructing a self-contained city with a theater, printing press, and elaborate gardens. But their paradise rotted from within. Members died under mysterious circumstances. Locals whispered of ghostly chants at night and rituals beneath the moonlight. When Teed died in 1908, his followers kept his body in a bathtub, expecting resurrection. After it began to decompose, authorities intervened, and the cult began to crumble. Today, the site is peaceful, but visitors frequently report cold spots, shadow figures darting between trees, and strange electromagnetic interference. Some believe the energy Teed summoned still pulses through the land, waiting for his prophecy to come true. The Devil's Chair in Cassadaga. In the heart of Cassadaga, the so-called psychic capital of the world, lies an unassuming wooden bench in the local cemetery. Locals call it the Devil's Chair. Legend has it that if you sit in the chair at midnight, you'll hear whispers not of the wind, but of the dead. Some even say the devil himself may whisper promises or threats into your ear. The most chilling aspect? If you leave a can of beer on the chair overnight, it will be found empty the next morning, unopened. Psychics warn that the chair is a spiritual gateway, a fixed point of malevolent energy. Paranormal investigators have captured chilling EVP recordings around it, tortured moans, a woman sobbing, and an unknown voice growling, "Stay here." Those who mock the chair or try to spend the night in the cemetery often report terrifying dreams, unexplained scratches on their bodies, or even weeks of bad luck and dread. Is it merely a local legend, or is the Devil's Chair truly a throne of darkness in the quiet heart of Florida? Bloody Bucket Bridge. The Midwife's Curse in Wauchula, Florida, an unremarkable bridge hides a legend soaked in blood. After the Civil War, a freed woman working as a midwife was said to have lost her grip on reality. Convinced that babies born into poverty would suffer, she began smothering the newborns she helped deliver and disposing of their tiny corpses near the creek. Her neighbors grew suspicious after noticing that the red water buckets she carried would never be empty. When her crimes were finally discovered, they found dozens of infant skeletons buried beneath her house. Today, the water under Bloody Bucket Bridge is said to run red under a full moon, and the air carries a coppery scent. Those brave enough to visit at night claim to hear the faint cries of babies carried on the wind. Some even say they've seen blood rising from the creek, forming the outline of a woman cradling something in her arms. The bridge is now fenced off. Elizabeth Budd Graham, the Witch of Tallahassee. In Tallahassee's Old City Cemetery stands a grave unlike any other. The stone, far larger and more ornate than those around it, belongs to Elizabeth Budd Graham, who died in 1889 at just 23 years old. But it's not just the Gothic beauty of her tomb that draws attention, it's the inscription and the rumors it has stirred. Her headstone faces west, a direction traditionally associated with death and dark magic. Carved into the stone is a passage from Edgar Allan Poe's Lenore, a poem steeped in melancholy and the macabre. Locals began whispering, was Elizabeth a witch? Strange occurrences plague her grave, unexplained flickering lights, the smell of burnt herbs, and offerings of candles and flowers that appear with no witnesses. Some claim to have seen cloaked figures performing rituals by moonlight. Others hear faint chanting and feel unseen hands tugging at their clothes. Historians dismiss the witch rumors, but those who've visited at midnight speak of a presence, a watching, waiting presence that leaves them cold to the bone. The Deering Estate. Miami's haunted mansion south of Miami, the Deering Estate rests on prime waterfront land, but beneath its elegance lies centuries of disturbance. Built in the 1920s by industrialist Charles Deering, the mansion stands atop an ancient Tequesta burial ground and a prehistoric hunting site used for thousands of years. When the excavation for the estate began, workers unearthed bones, tools, and ceremonial artifacts. Rather than halt construction, they pressed on and the spiritual unrest began. Ghosts are said to wander the halls, a woman in white seen in upper windows, disembodied voices echoing through locked rooms, footsteps in empty corridors. Guests frequently report intense feelings of dread in the basement, where cold spots and unexplainable electrical anomalies are common. Some investigators believe the house is a vortex, a location where spiritual energy collects and intensifies. Psychics brought to the site have collapsed under the emotional weight of the energies. Security cameras have captured shadowy figures walking through sealed rooms. Visitors say the air there feels heavy, as if the estate remembers every soul that passed through its grounds and everyone that never left. The Devil's Tree, a killer's legacy in Port St. Lucie. In the stillness of Oak Hammock Park stands a gnarled oak tree that many locals refuse to even look at. Known as the Devil's Tree, it was the site of unimaginable horror. In 1971, Gerard John Schaefer, an ex-cop and one of Florida's most depraved serial killers, used the tree as his personal execution site. He bound 2 teenage girls to its trunk, tortured them, and left their bodies to rot in shallow graves nearby. Schaefer later boasted of killing over 30 women, some of whom were never found. Since then, the tree has become the centerpiece of a chilling legend. Chainsaws break trying to cut it down. Strange sounds, screaming, crying, or desperate whispers emanate from its branches. Some say you can feel a pulse when you press your hand to the bark. Teenagers dare one another to touch it or carve initials into it. Many of those who do report nightmares for weeks, and some claim they've seen Schaefer's ghost watching them from the shadows. Gatorman, the swamp's apex predator. Florida's cryptid lore includes a rarely spoken terror, the Gatorman. This reptilian humanoid, said to be half man, half alligator, is rumored to lurk in the black waters of the Everglades. Descriptions vary, but many say he walks upright, covered in slick scales, with glowing eyes and jagged teeth. Since the 1840s, Reports have circulated of livestock dragged into the swamps, shredded beyond recognition. Hunters whisper of something big stalking them just out of sight, leaving behind enormous, clawed footprints and the smell of decay. One 2011 witness, a biology student from US, discovered a manatee carcass with bites unlike anything known to science. She later described hearing guttural hissing from the woods and spotting a creature crouched beneath the cypress trees, its yellow eyes never blinking. Gatorman isn't just another cryptid, he's considered a protector of the deep wilderness, violently punishing those who trespass or disrespect the land. The skunk ape, Florida's Bigfoot from the Bojan, the dense, mosquito-choked jungles of the Everglades roams a beast locals have dubbed the skunk ape. Standing over 7 feet tall, covered in reddish-brown hair, and exuding a nauseating stench of rotting meat and sulfur, the skunk ape is the southern cousin of Bigfoot and far more aggressive. Native American tribes warned of a creature they called Estikapkaki, the tall man of the trees, long before settlers arrived. In 1959, a group of Boy Scouts in the Ocala National Forest stumbled into its territory and fled, terrified and incoherent. The sheriff's report from that night remains sealed. Dave Shealy, founder of the Skunk Ape Research Headquarters, has dedicated his life to tracking the beast. He captured blurry footage and gathered countless testimonies. One story recounts a family being stalked during a camping trip, hearing deep growls, seeing glowing eyes, and returning to find their tent shredded. Whatever it is, man, beast, or spirit, it moves silently, smells horrid, and leaves behind an aura of primal dread. Thanks for diving into the shadows with me, you curious, twisted, and beautifully eerie souls. My name is Penny Flick with Kreep-ish. Share your thoughts below. We're just scratching the surface of true crime, history's mysteries, and all things hauntingly fascinating. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and always remember, the truth is stranger than fiction.